Most people say they want to look better.
He is ostensibly the winner. Based on what? The guy on the left's 8 times the size. The guy on the right's 50 times leaner. What's he winning? Hey guys, I'm Mike Israetel. I am a professor of advanced training theory for Lehman College in New York, and I am going to review some videos of very popular and sometimes not so popular Hollywood films where people work out. And I'm going to give my assessment, a 1 out of 10 scale of how good of a job scientifically are they doing in the training process. I'm ready. This is Batman versus Superman, one of my favorites. Very upset at the tire, that makes sense. Technically, very good functional type of training. Can, transfer to a variety of combat moves and real world stuff. Not terrible. A great way to build up general work capacity in the upper body and the abdominals. So this is good high marks. I know profoundly little about engineering kryptonite-based weaponry. Full range of motion on pull-ups. I love it. And it's weighted pull-ups. Like if you actually get this strong, so I can guarantee you that Ben Affleck was not this strong. But if you could actually do that with 3 45 pounds hanging, you are the man, and you are going to be really good at doing very difficult things in real life. A lot of people would do slow pushing sled work. It doesn't train much of anything except for your ability to push things slowly. I would like it if he did something more dynamic. Right there, he's limited mostly by how much his body is generating friction with his feet. So it's not very great situation there, but it's not bad. It's not bad. Very whole body, very athletic, very general, real world. He cut his range of motion on the dumbbell presses. That I don't like to see. He could have gone way lower. That's bad marks, but compound heavy pressing, not a bad choice. I guess this is something that, in the gym you might not want to do is poor gym etiquette. He doesn't really have a high regard for his own equipment, which you might expect from a spoiled brat billionaire like him. But his equipment also looks like it sucks, so maybe he's just letting it rot until he gets the ultimate commercial gym built at home. Who knows? Yeah, Batman vs. Superman, that training scene, honestly, if I'm not being nitpicky, 7 or 8 out of 10. And that's real 7 or 8 out of 10. Like, when I first saw that, I was already a sports scientist, and I thought, man, this is really, really good. They could have made it much worse, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, The Karate Kid, classic.
Man who catch fly with chopstick accomplish anything.
The human nervous system has a lot of processing layers. There's the perceptual layer, there's a bunch of interpretive layers, there's layers to determine what to do next, decisional processes, tons of output layers, and eventually there's tons of layers of neuronal activity that get you from seeing the fly, detecting where it is, predicting where it's going to be, and then doing this. And thus the latency is quite high. For flies, they have almost no latency because they have almost no central processing relative to humans. So they're a very rapid perceptual and reactive system. They can get out of the way real fast, usually faster than humans. So the probability that anyone could do this is profoundly low. Certainly he catches a fly in his first time there, the Karate Kid. Those must just be very, very sick, very ill, old flies that they're doing that with.
Show me wax on, wax off. Yes! Yes!
The whole wax on, wax off thing. First of all, that's not how you block punches in real life. Blocking one punch at a time is actually preposterously difficult. What you want to do is cover up in general. You don't generally reach out to block anything. That's kind of a bad idea. First of all, because it's insanely difficult to predict velocities and trajectories like that, and also because you open yourself up when you do that to other attacks. The chances that you are involved in household chores and then somehow magically learned karate through them is preposterously low.
Make a power, whole body, fit inside 1 inch. Yeah.
The idea that you are starting at the back end of the kinetic chain, pushing off of the ground and letting the impulse travel through the additive forces of your legs and your back and your chest and your shoulder all the way to the end is actually totally valid. It's exactly how you throw a very good punch. And this is good stuff. The analogy of having your whole force in just the end of the punch, that's not exactly what's going on, but you definitely summate a lot of forces through the body, and it starts all the way at the bottom and really does use the vast majority of your body. So this gets a very high marks. This is actually, surprisingly for this film, one of the only valid training talks ever given by this instructor. This illustrates a concept that people think applies a lot to sport, but it doesn't, called unstable surface training. Is the fact that, throwing punches on a boat is very difficult because you have to simultaneously stabilize yourself and also try to provide some external force to the punches. And the thing is that in actual sport combat scenarios, mostly you're fighting on a very stable, sturdy surface, and most of the attacks that you mount are going to have to rely on a lot of stability. So you're better off practicing on the kind of surface you're going to end up fighting in and learning how, through movement and then stopping for a short bit here and there to generate lots of power off of those stable movements. Much better for you to do that than for you to try to generate very suboptimal forces and powers and vector directions for your punches and kicks off of very unstable surfaces. Terrible, terrible training. Other than the whole talk about how to punch, I would give this as a disaster. So the Karate Kid gets a 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10 in realistic training. And it does pain me to say that. Dude, the Karate Kid 3 or whatever, the one with the girl, is even worse.
It's showtime! There you go!
Dodgeball. Classic. Very high on overload, very low on sport specificity. Definitely creates a good dodging incentive. I guess on a technical level, this training is quite good, but the cumulative fatigue of getting hit by wrenches is unsustainable. It would not allow you to accrue the volume of training, the days and weeks of practicing like this that would make you much better.
Let's go, a little hustle here!
The only sport-specific training they've done so far, other than the terribly executed shuttle run. This is the kind of training you'd probably see done relatively often in higher level dodgeball, if there is such a thing. Being able to catch a very high velocity ball, potentially a ball that's thrown at a velocity just marginally higher than any human or your average player can throw it, means you actually train real close, so you're very specific to the sport, but you're training at a little bit of an overload, which means that when you get to the real game, everything will seem a little slower, you'll be very competent, and you're going to be well on your way, so it's actually great training.
Here at Globo Gym, we understand that ugliness and fatness are genetic disorders, much like baldness or necrophilia. And it's only your fault if you don't hate yourself.
I'm not up to date on the literature on necrophilia. I'll say, fatness and ugliness are largely genetic. They are absolutely not disorders. That man is just full of hate.
Globo Gym employs a highly trained, quasi-cultural staff of personal alteration specialists.
These two gyms, Average Joe's and the Globo Gym, are both on the very wrong side of extremes. Average Joe's tells you it's okay, it doesn't matter, just do whatever you like, which isn't very good for getting people in shape. Globo Gym says you suck and you should hate yourself, which for short term for some folks works, but long term makes almost everyone burn out. Probably the better of the two would be to take the excellent equipment they have at Globo Gym and give it the attitude of, if you want to train, let's train and get you better. You're already okay as you are, and you always will be, but if you want to get a little bit better, come in and train and we'll train hard and everything will work out. And none of the gyms in this offered that. Okay, so nobody struggles at 90% to lock out in a squat. That's never happened to anyone. A lot of glute flexing. I do like his leotard he's wearing. For that specific scene, never in a million years has that ever happened. You can't isometrically hold any challenging weight at that level for no good reason at all. So fake, fake, fake. The only training I didn't see there that I would love to see is the training of them actually scrimmaging each other and playing small-sided dodgeball games. It's how you actually get the best at dodgeball, is playing dodgeball against each other. There's none of that, apparently. So, but yeah, that would kind of violate the movie spirit of team unity. So I totally understand. Dodgeball, listen, solid 5 out of 10. Some really good training happening. A lot of great training not happening. But, and a lot of really, really where they go wrong is the specificity is pretty good, a little too hard on the overload principle. The wrenches, the cars, bit much. You're not going to have a whole lot of athletes left over, but you could say they didn't have a lot of athletes in the true sense of the word to begin with, so it's nobody lost, nobody found. Pain and gain. This is decent training. Yeah, this is great abdominal training. This person was clearly a psychopath, as he was in real life. This is based on true events. Why is that guy oiled up already? Terrible hack squat technique. Also, if you can high-five someone while they're training, it's both bad etiquette and means you're not trying hard enough. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. They got some pills, a little tackle box. They have a little one sad little insulin pin for all that whole stash. You're not going to inject that all with one needle. That's, you know, it's something to tell the viewer, hey, this is bad stuff.
Most people say they want to look better.
He certainly did not win that competition. Note, pause. He is ostensibly the winner. Based on what? The guy on the left's 8 times the size. The guy on the right's both fat and 50 times leaner. What's he winning? Terrible posing. Those are not posing trunks. That's underwear. I don't know what this is. It's not a bodybuilding show. This is a strange scene on a rooftop. Not a bodybuilding competition. This is not how any of this works.
Schwarzenegger, am I right?
That guy's the man. He's my favorite character in all this. Yeah, when you're a personal trainer, you sometimes train a lot of rich guys, and most of them are great, and the few of them are just total dicks, and you just have to put up with it because you're a nice guy. This is bad spotting. He's not even looking at him.
Look at me, a cigarette boat was a thing drug dealers had, you know.
This is pretty accurate. A lot of clients will try to talk to you this much when they're training, and a lot of personal trainers are this bad at training their clients. This is one of the most realistic scenes I've ever seen in a fitness film, and that's sad. I've done this with people. You just talk to them while they're doing cardio. Insufficiently motivated to motivate themselves. What is there, like a beach back there? A swimming pool? Naked people walking around? I've never trained at a gym like this. Am I doing something wrong? Sure, not trying hard enough. If you can talk to someone while you're training, you're not training hard enough. In most cases.
To you, maybe we could go for a drink or dinner or coffee or water.
Yeah, you don't want to go out with a girl like that. You know,
Did you ever hit on my client?
I've never actually got enough confidence to ask a woman out, so I wouldn't know how to relate.
Calm the fuck down. I gotta get a pump.
The pump doesn't feel good enough to make psychopathy and summary murder okay. Yeah, last thing you'd be thinking about. If you were normal, maybe he's that insane. The Rock's great. Terrible, awful technique. It's just kind of moving the arms around a little bit, getting the whole body into it. It's like a power walk with dumbbells in place.
Don't get these bodies out of here.
I'm in the middle of a superset.
I don't know what he's supersetting it, though. I don't think that's actually a superset. I think that's just inserted Hollywood line. He's supersetting incline bench with incline bench. Not a superset, for those of you keeping track at home. The quality of the lifting done in that movie, 3 out of 10. The realism of do people in corporate gyms really train like that? 9.5 out of 10. I've seen all that idiocy in real life, so I can believe it. Well, if you guys want the less edited cut of me ranting about these insane scenes, we've got a whole lot more in the members section, so check that out. Rocky IV. Rocky travels back to what is then the Soviet Union. This was the winter in which I was a baby in my mom's belly. Dr. Mike was just getting a start. Oh, this is so good. Note a couple of things. This is peak of the Cold War, 1984-85. The American is using a non-high-tech training approach, and the person in the Soviet Union is using a high-tech training approach. Now, this is very, very good self-flagellating propaganda by Hollywood. The reality was that Russia was barely able to muster a room-sized computer at this juncture, while the United States had a blooming information age, which continues on to this day and allows us to do things like this. So it is totally backwards of how the training would really work. And I would like you to note something, that all of these machines have English readouts, which are non-standard, just don't happen on Russian readouts. This is not how the Russians ever trained. And that will continue to be the case as we go through this, I know it. Never has any single person trained with that many laboratory scientists around. I'm actually a sports scientist. I've worn a lab coat 0 times in my entire life. What is there, live specimens around? I guess he's one. Oh my God, cardiogramma. So that they're doing a live cardiogram, okay? They're doing an EKG, or actually no, that's an echo. He's getting an echocardiogram while he's training. Here is the number of good reasons to do that. You suspect your athlete has a nasty cardiac disorder and is going to die really soon. And that's it. There's nothing to see with the heart when someone's actually training at that level. Unbelievable. I love it. Okay, hit that bag. Boom. Folks, to the extent that boxing is nothing like running distance and very occasionally hitting one thing at a time, they nailed that. Terrible, terrible. This is nothing like real training has ever been, although I do appreciate the Soviet flag in the background for realism. And again, it takes all those people to train him. This terrible technique, this absolutely fake weight. Yeah, I mean, that's nonsense. Yeah, they didn't even try. All right. Ooh, look at this little skiing apparatus we got going on here. It's good. I don't know when he's going to be in that position in boxing, I'll tell you that. It will strengthen the legs. Okay, that's good. That's actually very impressive and good training. I hope he's counting his reps. Profoundly little boxing training in Rocky's preparation. So from what I remember with this movie, Rocky did almost exclusively what we would term general physical preparedness training and almost no combat training at all, I guess. I don't think there was anyone there to fight him, to box him. This is impressive. This is called a candlestick. There's more impressive ways to do this, but if he touched his feet to the mat all the way and came back up, that would be great. His wife is certainly some combination of impressed and aroused. Let's go up. Whoa, 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 whoa. That is a preposterous amount of drugs. Some kind of weird bubbles in that oil. It doesn't look like a very professionally sealed vial. This is probably really what they did in the Soviet Union. Oh my God. Okay, no, that's a big needle, folks. This is insane. This is wildly outdated. He's going to be having a sore arm for about 3 weeks after that one. Crushing your opponent's picture is critical to success. Everyone knows that. And then now he's training to be a towing horse. Hitting all-time PRs in the gym for a boxer occurs months before the training peaking. Hitting all-time PRs while peaking for boxing is some combination of irrelevant and a terrible idea. So you would never have 80 coaches around you yelling, and you have to make this one lift. And if you don't, it means your preparedness is low and you're probably going to lose. The weight training leading up to a boxing match is actually much more calm than the actual boxing training. I like to have a readout of random flashing colors. That tells me a lot as a sports scientist about what's going on. To the untrained eye, this may look like random flashing lights, but to the trained eye, it's random flashing lights. Rocky IV, absolutely a classic, and some of the worst, most inaccurate sport training you will ever see in a movie. General preparation for sport, I would say Sylvester Stallone did a better job. Rocky definitely did a better job on that. I would say Ivan Drago did a better job in the boxing front because he actually boxed people. And I would say the big downside with him is there's way too much technology doing nothing. And so on the net balance, Ivan Drago actually had a better preparation for combat. And so, yeah, overall, as far as boxing training, that movie gets a 3 out of 10. And but in spirit, it gets a 12 out of 10. One of the most motivational movies. And the music, oh, you can't not want to train. All right, that's it for this time. You guys let us know if you want another one of these, and maybe you can comment some movies or scenes you want below. Jeez, Hollywood, get a consultant that knows things, or not. You know, if it's all the same to the viewers, who cares? Mostly awful training. That's what we see. If you guys want good training, good science, good recommendations, stick around here in the channel. We got you hooked up. Videos every week about how to train right. See you guys next time.